Hello, everyone. And Leah is back. Leah, great to see you. How are you?
Happy to be here. Thanks for
Hmm.
having me. Yeah.
We missed you while you were gone.
Thank you. Thank you. I see that I was out on a secret mission. I've already said too much. But I noticed you have two malos on today.
Yeah, well, I'm doing that because I feel like a need for extra prayer, because it's true. Um, I feel like when I feel a lot of joy, then I want to take that in. And when I'm feeling
Oh.
a lot of pain, I want and need that connection. And
Mm.
So if you see me with more beads, then you know I'm feeling more of maybe both of those things.
The vibe. Feeling the vibes. I love it.
Feeling,
I love it,
feeling the
Alcitar. I'm
vibes.
I'm constantly wearing way more malas than I should be.
Excuse me, there is a limit here. There's a limit.
How many? All the limbs, all the
We
at
we let y'all
once.
be weird, but come on, there are it only
Is one
goes
of
so
one of
far.
my mottos. Keep meditation weird. Anyway.
You well,
Yeah.
well, we the theme that we have for tonight is karma, and our subtitle for that is um, eternal growth in infinite life. And um,
Hmm.
so we want to we're going to talk about this theme, but let's tune up a little bit first with the meditation. Just create a good vibe for us here, and Leah is
Mm.
going to lead us through that.
Mm. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, my dears, wherever you might be, go ahead and find your meditation posture. And I really want, once you're ready, after you've settled into your seat, that's like 90% of the work. It's just sitting down. Once you're there and you've taken a few nice deep breaths, refreshing your body, refreshing your mind, I want you to really come very much into the center of your being. So I want you to find where is the most sense of presence in yourself. So, like, for example, not my pinky toe, but the toe just inside my pinky toe. I pretty much have no presence there. I'm completely unaware of it, blissfully unaware of that part of my body, right? So, there's a lot of the parts of our body, way more than we think, that we're completely unaware of. And so, as you deepen your breath, I want you to really do deep diaphragmatic breathing, which means that you're moving your diaphragm to its optimal capacities. But you're doing that very slow. So you're allowing your breath to move toward the depth of your torso, toward the depth of your body as you inhale. And as you exhale, we always or we tend to think that we're finished with our exhalation before we actually are. And so giving it that last push out and really completing the exhalation and creating a complete full breathing cycle. And the more breath that you have, the more you have this kind of wave of influence inside yourself. So, with each of these waves of influence, each breath that you're taking, I want you to breathe along that wave of your breath through your body and feel your body and yourself more. Find all the nooks and all the crannies. Find all the parts of yourself, the parts of yourself that are very bright, and the parts of yourself that you're not necessarily conscious of yet. if I start to focus on one part of myself that I'm not normally in tune with, I can start to become more present in myself through that exercise. So, this is the goal. The goal is to become very deeply present and to use this momentum of your breath cycle, this inhalation, everything that's coming toward you, feeling it, absorbing it, and everything that you are moving toward as you exhale. Using this momentum of everything that's coming towards you as you inhale, and everything you are moving toward as you exhale. Using this momentum to become more alive in this moment with presence, with consciousness. I want you to really ask yourself in this present moment, what is your aim? Maybe your aim is toward creating peace inside yourself. Maybe your aim is toward creating love, creating beauty. But really hone in, almost condensing that aim into the very center of your heart as you breathe. That feeling of the desire of where you're headed. What do you want to create? Feeling that desire of what you want to create burning in your heart, almost fueling this gravity toward more and more presence inside of the exact moment, inside of the now, inside of the very center and core of your being in this moment in time. And as you exhale, you're really seeing almost creatively and openly, like, how can you create that vibe that you want to create? Maybe it's only simply through this internal atmosphere that you're building inside with every breath that you take. Or maybe you know exactly the action that you can take right now to influence the future that you want to create. And once again, inhaling full deep breath, full absorption of everything that's coming towards you. Finding your center, finding your aim, and then exhaling toward this open space of creative development, of creative expression. It's like you are the artist of this moment. You're the artist. You get to choose exactly the vibe that you want to create, even if you have to work at it or dig for it a little bit with every breath that you take. Seeing as the equinox is so close, equalize and balance your inhalation with your exhalation. And experience inside yourself through equalizing and balancing your inhalation and your exhalation. This constant kind of harmonic flow of pluses of and minuses, of past and future, of checks and balances inside. Allowing all of that to balance, to equalize, to become in a perfect harmonic equilibrium as you inhale fully and exhale completely. And just one last remembrance of what is the vibe that you want to create. And then using your breath to align with that vibe. All right. And then as you're ready, move your body and open up your eyes.
What a lovely meditation. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you.
So, we want to talk about karma, right? And we want to talk about what that is. And Leah gave you a whole experience of it in the meditation, and was talking about this, what is the vibe, right? Like, what a great word that we use, because it's like a word that's native to, like, I don't know, U.S. culture or whatever. But it conveys that, right? It's short for vibration, um, and it's like, oh, there's an atmosphere there, right?
Right.
Energetic atmosphere, and that's exactly what karma is. Karma is vibrations, because that's life, right? Like, we live in the energetic environment we created, or as Hazrat Khan put it, life is a dome, and whatever we do echoes off that dome, and that's
Mm.
what we live in. And
Mm.
but and that seems so, like, I don't know, we're tuned to think of it as a negative, like when someone says karma, like, how much, 99 times out of 100, what they mean is punishment, you know oh, you're getting, it's karma time, right? Like, you got instant karma. What do they mean? Something good happened to somebody? No, it means someone got wrecked.
Yeah,
You were a good
right.
person, got rewarded, instant karma, bang. Like no, it's not.
I mean, in Hawaii, we talk like that a lot.
Well, which is beautiful, and is real, but I think it's also kind of
Yeah.
rare. Like that's not,
Yeah,
that's
it's not the mainstream.
it's not the mainstream exactly, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when we were talking about this topic, and like let's talk about karma, and do you remember your reaction?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Well,
Like it seems like such a dour topic, like
I was like, oh God, here we go.
punish now,
Take your medicine.
take your
Take
medicine.
your medicine.
But I felt like what really came through in the meditation was that we can create a vibe. I mean, like, and
Mm,
that's really powerful,
mm,
or just that we can also choose, like it's not just about the vibe in meditation, right? I mean, like, because there's a lot more to it than that, right? I mean, like we create a vibe from everything we do, everything we think, like
yes.
our
Yes.
reaction, our emotional state, and that's what we live in, right? And so like spiritual teachers forever, right, are like, you need to connect cause and effect, people, like what's happening around
Mm,
you is not random, you know
mm,
um, it's happening in part because of what you're sending out there. Now I say in part because it's
yeah.
you're not the only person in the universe, right? Like there's other stuff going on, you know not just you. um, and there's another like kind of overarching reality, which is the universe itself and every being in it, right? Because every being is part of the one being, right? The great unity. So
Mm, mm,
we that being has a growth and a growth path. So there's some of what happens to us is like we're not aligned with that. you know
mhm,
we're not in
mhm.
that growth path, and
That's a
okay,
great
that,
way of looking at it. Yeah.
yeah, because that's what it seemed like that was what we were suggesting, right? This eternal infinite aspect of our own, the cause and effect relationship that we have with everything else, right? But also, how is it connected? What part of that is infinite? Like we're so
Mm,
tuned into our limitations.
mm,
Where's the infinity?
yeah.
Where's the eternity here, right? um, Now I
Mm,
also just want to say, like, one of the stumbling blocks that you think about, like, say, oh well, so every action has a reaction, like, um,
mhm.
okay, good deeds are rewarded and bad deeds are punished, right? I mean, that sounds like karma, right? Well, good and bad relative to what, right? I mean, like,
Exactly.
is it
Exactly.
relative to some like thousands-year-old book or something? Like, what,
Right.
who says whether it's good or bad?
Right.
And there's a simple but hard to hear answer to that, and it is your conscience. It decides.
Mm. Oh,
So
well,
like,
I like that. I have all the power.
well, you sound like somebody with a pretty clear conscience. I mean,
Well, now that you've
like,
said that,
yes.
a few thoughts have come up in my mind. Anyway.
Because
Oh,
one of the things that we look around and we notice, right, like, is people do like what we think of as terrible things, and then they don't seem to get punished to us, right? Like, you know,
mm,
you're
mm,
like,
mm,
look at this douchebag, right? I mean, they're like they made off scot free or whatever, like we're just
mm.
very like ready to be like shaking our fists at the injustice of the universe, with of
Yeah,
course not
yeah.
knowing even a little bit of the story, right? Um,
Mhm.
and but this is the thing, right? We all have a kind of a different development of our conscience. I mean, some people they're very out of touch with it, right? um, and you kind of when you're out of touch with it, you might create a lot of excuses for why you
Mm,
should do what you want or whatever, right? And
mm, mm.
damn the consequences, or you know um,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
like when you awaken to that conscience, it feels very different, doesn't it? Like,
Mhm.
You know, when your conscience is like when you're in tune with it, when it's awake in you, um, it feels like something you really want to listen to. I mean, to me it does anyway. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I look at it kind of like, so I look at it as alignment, alignment between all the parts of ourselves. So like when we're
Hmm.
out of alignment, then we're not going to feel very good about it. It's to be the same thing if I needed a back adjustment or something like that. Like when we're out
Right.
of alignment, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And so it's more of an alignment, like what's the aim? What do you want? What's your heart's desire, right? Versus like, where are you right now in reality? And part of
Mm.
where you are right now in reality is based off again of the echo of the past. But you accept that as your ground and your baseline. And it's like, and I think like we all have these aims and we have all these thoughts about, we get all distracted. but but it's like to remember like what's really burning inside of you, what's really burning to come through, and then to create that alignment with like what's burning, what's next, the vision and the reality, which is like the root. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to put a little disclaimer in for we are talking about spiritual burning sensations. If you have a physical one, be a regular doctor. We're not qualified.
We're not
You know,
qualified.
not physical burning. Maybe you'll feel that way, but yeah. Um, so like your own conscience is hugely important, right? And you know this,
Mm.
right? Because when you come in touch with your conscience and you have something that's bothering you, um, it doesn't let you rest, right? I mean, like it's gonna be there,
Right,
you know.
right,
And
right. Yeah, kind
who's
of eating away at
who's
you.
doing who's doing what to
uh,
whom here, you know? Like I mean, it's an inside
yeah,
job, right? Like you
right,
know, because
right.
how is God going to judge us, right? Like God, a formless infinite being, is how is God going to judge us? Well, you need some human qualities to judge a human, right? Like who's in the best position to judge yourself? You, right? I mean,
Yeah, 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 and I think it's
but
also important. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
sorry, my light. I kicked my light. But say what you wanted to say.
I forgot now.
Oh, sorry. I messed it up.
Oh. Oh, the judging. So, like, self-judging. Well, like, it's also important though, like, well, I think it's important to not self-judge, like to look, to be discerning, but not
Yeah.
necessarily to qualify it or quantify it,
I think you mean by that like judge with understanding, you know, because like
Yeah.
discernment is judgment, right? Like you are
Yeah.
saying like, okay, you know, this, right? This is something I like. I want to do more of this, right? This is maybe something I want to leave behind. You're not,
Yes. Yes.
you know, berating yourself, let's say, but I think it's
Right.
still
Right. Right.
but I also just know that like our hearts are so sensitive, right? Our hearts get wounded,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
especially in early life, right? When we're so tender, um, and a lot of us just feel like our conscience is giving. It's like giving the wrong signals to us, right? Like I
Mm.
can just say this for
Mm.
myself. You know, I've felt
Mhm.
for years and years like just there's a part of myself that feels really bad about me, right? And it's like
Mm.
I don't deserve love, you know?
Mm.
I don't,
Mm.
or like that place where negative self-talk comes from, like
Right. Right.
how dare you, like you haven't done anything to earn this, you don't deserve this, right? Work harder, be
Mhm.
better, that
Mhm.
kind of thing, right? Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
some of that maybe is okay, right? But you can go too go too far pretty easily.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's like we carry these judgments about ourselves, but then maybe they're wrong judgments, right? Like maybe they're coming out of our pain and our woundedness, and you
Yes.
know
And it's like
they're not accurate at all.
it's like a creative narrative. Yeah. It's like a
Yeah.
creative narrative out of the pain. Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
met incredibly kind, wonderful people, right? Who kind of walk around in like a permanent cringe, like because they feel like
Mm.
they're very bad people. And
Mm-hmm.
like, isn't
Yeah,
that
it's
interesting, right?
tragic.
I mean, yeah. And I just, like, I think this is part of what we're trying to do here. Come in touch with the conscience, because this is a very deep part of yourself, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and also notice that there's a connection between the wounds in your heart and that sense of like, are you doing the right thing, right? Is your, do you feel like um, you deserve to have good things, like, like
Mm. Mm.
sometimes we can get
Mm.
into a place where we feel more comfortable with bad things happening to us than we do good things.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
you walk
Absolutely.
in a cringe, you feel guilty, like, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking of myself now, like for,
Mm.
so
Mm.
I don't know if others can relate, like, you feel like,
Mm.
what, yeah, I just don't deserve this. And of course, life isn't really about what you deserve, is it? It's about
Mm.
growth, you know
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and but that kind of begs the question of, well, anyway, the mainstream definition of karma, which is a very, small derivative of the actual meaning from its heritage, right?
Mm,
But this question of like, um, did I deserve this? You know what I mean? Like this kind, I think that comes up a lot. Like something bad
yeah,
happens. Did I deserve this? Did I make this happen? And I think that's like one of the hard parts about the topic itself.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, if we kind of like just almost put that to the side for a minute of like deserving, not deserving, just kind of put that to the side. It's more about like, for me, what I find exciting is that whatever has happened, it creates the current reality, it creates the present moment. And even if it was a bad experience, that bad experience creates a lot of energy if it's
mm,
really affecting us. And so that
right,
that energy creates momentum, and that's part of that echo of the past. That's the echo of the past coming toward the current reality and the present moment. And it can actually
mm,
just be turned right on its head, just pivoted. That energy can just be pivoted toward, again, the aim. So it's like, if you know what your aim is, whatever that might be, maybe it's creating love, like whatever your aim is, the energy of whatever has gone quote unquote wrong can be kind of pivoted on its head and used, like momentously, again, toward whatever you want to create in the future.
yeah, totally. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like there's a lot to it when you really get into it, right? And I love your description of like, your past and even your wounded place
Hmm.
has energy. There's a lot of,
Hmm.
like, wherever there's pain, there's energy, and
Yeah.
so that kind of changes one's perspective a little bit, doesn't it? Like, you know,
Hmm.
but of
Hmm.
course we often struggle with like, well, it's in a different form, or it's an energy that we don't like, right? We don't like that form that's taking. And so,
Right.
right, it's like, yes, it's energy. Oh my God, that hurts really badly, right? Like this
Ah.
great energy, but I don't love it. But like, what is meditation for, or on some just practical level, right? It's about changing energy, transforming energy. Maybe there's some way we can do that internally that will have an effect externally, you know? I mean,
Hmm.
that's the whole thing, right? I mean, we're an experiment. We're, n equals one experiment, right? Like,
Mm.
one, we have our own laboratory. Um,
Yeah.
but we can still learn important things from that, right? So I
Mm.
want to do a meditation uh, about like this topic of your conscience, awakening to your conscience, exploring your conscience, and
Mm.
let's get into that a little bit, and then we'll come back and have a bit more to say about um, karma, and especially about forgiveness, because that's important too.
Mm. Mm.
So let's assume that good upright meditation posture. Just feel your weight settling down into your sits bones and placing your spine in proper alignment. Spine has a natural curvature to it, of course, but just picture kind of lining everything up so that it's not leaning one way or the other, not forward, not back. Your head is in line with that too. And you just feel like a kind of sensation of a gentle lifting from the top of your head. Just enough so that your body feels like you're sitting lightly. Now tune into your heart center and feel that your breath is coming into that center of your being, the center of who you are, what you value, what you love, who you love. That energy, that longing, that desire, all of it. Feel your breath energizing that sacred core of yourself. And of course, this works the best if you've made your breath deep so that your belly is expanding and contracting. You make your breath slow. You use your abdominal muscles to squeeze out all the breath on the exhalation, working on the full breath. And then open your belly and expand your rib cage, all of your intercostal muscles. Just feel yourself expanding like a balloon, full of breath and life. And the final piece is to make your breath rhythmic. So your exhalation and your inhalation are the same length. And we want the breath to be refined as well, smooth. No jaggedness, no pausing, just flowing like a gentle river. And if you can, feel your heartbeat, tune into your heartbeat. You can lightly press your fingertips against your knee or wherever your hand is resting. If maybe that helps you to tune into that sensation. And just bring that rhythm into balance with your breath so that you breathe in, let's say 8 beats, and breathe out for 8 beats. And you choose the number. It's just important that it be even and balanced. And just use that energy to go deeply into your heart and just feel whatever is there, right? But think about your conscience. What does this mean to you? Do you have a connection with that? Is there something that you feel you've done wrong? So you look for that, right? You look for a sense of guilt. You can also look for a sense of regret or of disappointment. Maybe it's something like bitterness or, you know, we don't want to limit ourselves, right? We don't want to say, oh, your heart is only just a happy place, right? I mean, your heart is the core of everything, right? You feel everything there, right? We can't limit that. You know, you can't cut the ocean apart and say, oh, here's the good part. You know,
Mm.
that'll stay separate from the rest. Like, of course it won't. It's one thing.
Mm.
Or you just explore that, look for that, right? Now, I don't want to suggest that your conscience is just a lash, that it's just negative, right? Just something that punishes you. No, not at all, right? there is a deep sense of satisfaction and contentment and peace that comes when you're like really in alignment with that, said, this is the right thing. And, maybe it's not going to have a good outcome even, right? To do the right thing. Sometimes it does. That's great. Maybe it's going to be hard. Maybe you'll be afraid. Maybe there'll be negative consequences, but there's something within there that says, gives you that strength, that certainty. That's a good feeling to have. That's a very good feeling, right? I mean, I really treasure that feeling, and when I don't feel it, I'm like, oh my God, I can't live like this. So your conscience is not just something that whips you, right? It's also this, or can be this very soothing, um, this thing that gives you peace. Because what does conscience really mean anyway, right? I mean, it means your heart. It means, are you at peace with your heart? And that's a good question to ask. And it's good to do it in meditation where you have the resources with you to really be with whatever feelings come up. When your breath is deep and slow and rhythmic and heart-centered and full, all these things I've been asking you to do, all of these ways to train your breath. When you have that rhythm, your breath develops such power. It's unbelievable. And your ability to be with emotions, whatever they are, just flows through you like an endless river. I have had these meditations that I felt like I lived a lifetime in an hour or whatever the length of the meditation was. That just my heart felt so very much. I mean, I couldn't possibly explain it in words. Heart comes alive and it just feels more and more and more vast. As the great Sufi master Hazrat Inayat Khan said, the heart is bigger than the universe. If there were 10 universes, your heart would contain them all. Wow, what a thing, right? To think
Mm.
the core of yourself, your feelings, your desires, that it's that big. Wow. That everyone's heart is, right? That's not just some special person, right? I mean, that's that's the condition, human condition. So, um, my light just fell down during the meditation. I'm sure that has no deeper meaning of any sort. I'm sure that has nothing to do with my karma either. Um,
Instant karma.
but am I being punished or rewarded? That's a question.
Take your medicine.
Or maybe neither. This might be the frame, right? Well, well done for ending your meditation that way.
Um, oh,
Neil
thank
Sanger is
you.
with us and says hello. Hello, Neil. Nice to see you. And Nali D sends us a little heart. Hello, Nali. Nice to see you.
Oh,
Glad
hi.
y'all are with us. We do the class live because we like to be in the vibe at the same time, even if maybe it's not in the same exact space.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe you'll get everyone got something from just coming awake to what is conscience, what is heart. Oh, Mario is here. Warm greeting to you both. Nice to see you, Mario. Um, nice to sit with everyone. You know, um, so I wanted to say some more stuff. I don't know if did you want to say anything first, Leah? Or
I think especially that the meditation kind of got interrupted. I'd like to hear the continuation of what you were saying, actually, Asatar.
What was I saying?
Mm.
Did I say it all? You mean during the
No.
meditation?
You- yeah. But I just mean, yeah, you okay, well, if you have completed the thought process, then we can definitely keep vibing here together. What do we want to create in this moment?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are we creating? Where's the
Hmm.
energy going? You know, um, oh, your heart
One of the
contains the. Yeah, I think I was actually sort of complete. So I'm going with the, our,
mm,
our falling
love
theme.
it. One of the things I thought of during the meditation was how earlier when you talked about, at the beginning of class, you talked about the dome effect, like the universe is a dome.
Hmm.
I really, for the first time, I guess tied this in with almost like my own like internal system of like karmic energy, about how, that one of the primary echoes in this dome is our heartbeat. I mean, that is the echo
Yeah.
constantly just moving through. And so that's why it's like whatever's on your heart will echo through that dome. And whatever
Yeah.
you place on your heart. So you can intentionally pull. This is like the whole thing with heart rhythm meditation, is that you can intentionally pull things in that you want to pull in to help you create the future that you want to create.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think there's a metaphor there too, because it's like you have this echo going on, right? You have this very strong sensation, and you know, how do you feel about that, right? How do you feel about really listening to that? How do you feel about tuning into that? How do you feel about paying attention to that sensation?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
that often reveals a lot. It's often like a very deep, just kind of emotional experience to just feel your heartbeat and really pay attention to it, and really
Mm-hmm.
listen for it. And um, it's all a journey of metaphor, right? Like each one of these things. Um, so the thing that I wanted to kind of get to, right? So we're going through this process, examining our conscience, and just getting into our hearts, right? And seeing, well, maybe there are things that we need to correct. Maybe there are things. I mean, like you're going to be the best judge of that, right? Not me, because I don't have the information.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe there's things you need that you can't change, right? Because the past can't be changed, and but maybe it's about doing things differently, right? Maybe it's about doing better, And so, okay, that's pretty sobering, right? But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is there like, is there always like, here's what you did and here's the punishment, or here's what you did that was good and here's the reward? Like, is it always like that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not, because we have, there are exceptions, right? There are times when you need to kind of clear the deck. And why would you do that, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
because when we get into this, like, okay, so if our hearts contain the whole universe, right? What does that mean, right? I mean, what we are infinite beings, and how many infinite beings are there? There's one, right? So we all,
Whoa. Whoa.
so we're all part of this one being, right? And we're not part like a cell in a body, but we're part like a field that's in another field.
Mm,
Both are
mm,
infinite, right?
mm,
So um, this one being, right? I mean, it is like timeless and eternal, but is also us living right now, right, in the constant flow of change and limitation and life, right? And there's a path of growth for that whole beingness, right? For this one being. Um, and what if you're outside of that path, right? What if, not
mhm,
all growth is good growth, right? I mean, growth has to be kind of
mm,
organized,
mm.
right? Like, I mean, you could have a growth in your
Yeah,
body that's really not good for you, right? Because it's not
right.
consistent with your overall, health and integrity, right? So,
Yes.
you know, can the same thing happen in the life beyond, or the life we all, that we all are collectively, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
then what does that mean, right? How does one know these things, right? So, well, again, you know this by tuning into your heart and your own desires, discovering that connectedness, right? Discovering that infinity within, and then really listening to that. Um,
mm,
and so sometimes there are, there needs to be exceptions, right? Like, there's a time and a place for everything, right? um, you know
mm.
like normally your body says, do not cut me, right? Don't cut anything off me ever. If you do, it's going to hurt really bad. Right? Like, that's your body telling you, don't do that. You're not
Right.
a good
Yeah.
idea. But there are times where we have to remove something, right, for the good
Correct.
of the
Yeah.
whole. And
Yeah.
that's hard. I mean, and that's painful, and
Yeah.
that's, that's a thing, but it has to be done, right? So, you
Mm,
know there's an exception to everything, like, so there's cause
mm,
and effect, but that's not always what's needed, um,
mm,
in this kind of grand sense. So, how does this like help us, right? Like, maybe we're not as focused on like, oh, the universe and how's the universe growing, right? We're like, I've got my own problems, I've my own issues to deal with. Let the universe take care of the universe, and I'll take care of me, you know. Well, what if you could, accept the gifts that the universe is constantly giving you, right? What if you
mm,
didn't feel that
mm,
guilt, that shame, and you said,
mm,
"Yeah, I'm just going to take it in. I'm going to stop bouncing it."
mhm.
Like life is trying to give us love and blessings all the time, like rain. And what are we doing? Like,
Right.
we're blocking the rain. No, I don't want that to fall on me. I don't, deserve that wonderful, beautiful rain. You know, maybe we block most of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what
And
if we
how do
stop?
you, yeah, how do you suggest we do that?
You come up against the wounded place, and you feel it and understand it, and just allow that to be, and love that part of you,
Mm,
um,
mm. And
until
I
you
think it's
start to feel it.
important, and it's important to like face the reality, right? So like, if when it comes to like health in particular, it's kind of a nice clean cut thing to talk about in a way. But it's like if you become conscious of like something that goes awry with your health, then you're like in the reality that becomes your ground. Maybe it was because of a past action,
Yeah,
but your ground is like you've had this awakening, this realization of you know um, the current state of things, so to speak. And from there, you can course correct. Oh, I need to make sure I have, these vitamins every day from now on, like, or these foods in particular in order to, and I need to see these experts, so these are like the course corrections. If you are, not wanting that, I'm assuming it's like one of those things again, it depends on on the person, but it's like if you come across something where you don't want it to be a part of, it's messing up your vibe.
yeah,
You
right.
don't want it to be a part of it,
I
then
love
yeah,
it.
that
Yeah,
course correction is it's being grounded in reality, and then making decisions facing that, and then making decisions and saying, I'm going to refocus my drishti, I'm going to refocus my aim. Where am I going from here with the
yeah.
reality that I now know?
See, I just want to like draw attention to something that Leah said, right? Like, is that part of the vibe? Like, is that part of the vibe that I want, or that I'm creating, or, like, because how do we know, right? How do we know what is like aligned and in harmony, and what's not, right? I mean, like,
Mm,
how do we know that, right? I mean, the only way is we got to feel it, right? I mean, you feel it, like, well, what's the right note and what's the wrong note in music? Like, how do you know which one's
mm,
right, which one's wrong? I don't know. You just know, right?
mm,
Like, um,
mm, mm, mm,
so, tuning into that and trusting it. I feel like that's part of it here, you know. Um,
Mm.
but how can we trust the voice from within if we haven't really worked with it, right? If we haven't really developed it, if we're just not accustomed
Mm.
to even listening, you know?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
maybe you meditate and there isn't some kind of earth shattering vision of the universe and how it needs to grow right now, right? Okay. That's certainly, like I've meditated a lot and not had that experience, right? Like that's common to not have that, So, okay, well, what does that mean, right? Well, you're training yourself to listen to your heart, right? And try that out. Let's see what that does, right? I mean, I can just say for
Mm.
myself, it's been night and day, what a difference that's made for me, you know?
Mm. Mm.
Well, should we do one more meditation before we?
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think that was the perfect intro into a meditation.
All right.
Mm.
Am I doing this one or are you?
I would like you to go ahead and just keep vibing.
All right. All right.
I like the vibe you're creating. I'm really
Okay, good.
enjoying it.
Well, then let's keep on extending it out into the space beyond, that energetic realm that is who we are, as energy beings, as spiritual beings. That energetic body that really does reach everywhere. I mean, that is the actual physics of your body does have an electromagnetic field, and electromagnetic fields go on forever. I mean, they diminish in intensity quite a bit, right? But they go on forever. It's quite remarkable. So just settle into that, right? As you do your all the things. I hope that you've got kind of a checklist. You sit up straight and feel that your bones kind of coming into alignment, right, and your body being lifted. All of this stuff, right, that I described. Working with your breath and expanding your belly as you breathe in and then contracting as you breathe out, really squeezing those abdominal muscles and really opening and filling your belly and then your chest and all the way up to your collarbone with breath, but doing it in a slow, controlled fashion, a rhythmic fashion, feeling your heartbeat and tuning into that rhythm so that you have the same number of beats on the inhalation as you do on the exhalation. Now, I know this is a lot of things I'm asking you to do. I went through it quickly. Um, it's you can do it quickly once you've learned the knack of it, right? So, but before that, it's going to take some practice. And I just want to encourage you to put that time in. Keep on working with it. Keep developing your breath. Keep looking for your heartbeat if you're not quite feeling it, or just letting yourself just be in that sensation. Just say, let me bring that beating heart of mine to the very forefront of my consciousness in every way, right? Not just the feeling of the beat, but the vibe that's there. And say, everything that is happening now is part of that. And good or bad, or I don't know what. Maybe let me not spend time judging it. I mean, it's kind of like being in the water and saying, I don't know, is this a good wave, bad wave? No,
Mm.
it's best if you just swim, get in the flow
Mm.
and
Mm.
be with that, and bring it into your breath, whatever it is you feel. Breathe with it, breathe through it. Never let your breath get overwhelmed because, sometimes very strong things come up, and It might want to interrupt you, overwhelm you. You might forget about your breath. You might realize you stopped doing that pattern. So you go back to it. Now, just like if you were learning how to, ride a bike and you fell and you get back up and start again, try again. When I say there needs to be exceptions, this is what forgiveness is. There's the law, right? Cause and effect. That's the law of karma, as it's called, right? Talk about serious, right? The
Mm.
law.
Mm.
But then there needs to be exceptions to that, right? Because, right, how are you growing, or are you growing? I mean, are you getting crushed by the weight of the past?
Mm.
Maybe it's time to release that, right? Because some things, right, the best one can do is to just move forward and say, I'm learning,
Mm.
let me be, let me be able to take the next step forward. Right? And so forgiveness begins with forgiving yourself. Perhaps your conscience is, like mine was for years, very oversensitive to guilt and shame. Maybe
Mm.
you've been sending yourself the wrong signals. Maybe you have absorbed the message that the things that happen to you are because you're wrong or bad, even if you can't really say why, right? I mean, if you can't say why, then it's probably like that, right? I mean, like, if it's
Mm.
very clear to you why, well, okay, then maybe that needs to be addressed, right? How can it be addressed? Can you make it right? Do you make it right by being different? Or is it both, perhaps? There's all possibilities. And, there's other possibilities that I'm not even describing, right? You have to get into it yourself. It depends on the situation, right? Um, but maybe it's also possible, right, that it isn't any of those things, that you just feel badly about yourself because your heart is in pain, your heart is wounded. And what can you do there but just soothe your heart? What do you say to someone who is really suffering and really in pain? You say, I see you there, I love you there. My heart is with you. Because that's the reality, is that we all one. This is why
Mm.
it's so easy to feel what another feels. That other is in our own heart. And that's the energetic reality. Of course, we don't often hew to that, right? We often create other divisions and boundaries and so on, right? In order to function in the world, yeah. But let's not pretend that that's real anymore, right? Let's not, when we're in the world of energy and feeling and emotion. Let's have that be real, just for now, right? Make that the center of your focus. And consider too that what you're moving towards also has a very powerful effect on you.
Mm.
As my teacher of my teacher said, the pull of the future is stronger than the push of the past. And like Leah was saying to us earlier, right? The Can that energy, can that pain, even that woundedness, can it be just reorient it? Can you sort of gather it up
Mm.
and say, yes, I hear you, I feel you. And we need to marshal our energy toward this, right? Toward getting there. But getting where and who says we should go there, right? Well, your heart does. you know, your heart tells you through longing,
Mm.
through desire, through passion. So may that come alive in you more and more each day. We'll end
Mm.
our meditation there.
Mm. Mm. Thank you so much, Avatar. Thank you. Mm.
Well, we went a little over time this evening. We got in a vibe.
Mm.
Yeah,
Feels so good. It just feels so good. I really enjoyed the moment when you spoke on like sometimes it's like we can even become frozen with the past, or maybe if it's happening now, like decisions and actions that you have to take, and you can kind of get frozen in that moment, and that moment of forgiveness, that moment of self-love can really dissipate that freeze response, that
yeah,
inability to pursue your own happiness, Yeah.
yeah.
So I really appreciated just that moment that you gave us of opening that up. So thank you, Asatar. Hmm.
Thank you, sweetheart. Nice to be with you all. We're here each week. If you'd like to support the show, we have a Patreon page in the link in the description. Please follow Leah on Instagram only if you want more beauty and inspiration in your life. Otherwise, don't bother. We'll see you all next week. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Namaste.
thank you. Thank you.